I wanted to talk about what you did after Gambia, which is to come back to the UK. You founded Aspire Education Group, creating amazing initiatives like the Future Ed Awards. So, yeah, I wanted you to tell us a little bit more about that. Like, what's the dream for Aspire Education Group? What does it do? What does it achieve? I know it's helping the continent. I know it's helping Black people and just people of the global majority in general. So, yeah, I just wanted you to share a little bit about that.
Well, how our Aspire Education Group actually started, co-founded with Viv Amun. And this was a time when a lot of young people, there was a lot of the so-called gangs work. You know, this is a time of I'm sure it hasn't abated yet, but a lot of London was a murder capital for Black young people. You know,
what year was this?
2011. Was it, or 12
Okay.
I started.
Okay.
But for some time, so-called black on black crime. And Viv was involved with many sort of youth workers and working with serious youth violence. It had just been after the riots, the uprisings or the riots as they were called, in 2011, where London burned, St Paul's, Bristol burned, Manchester, everywhere.
I remember those because I was alive then.
Yeah, you were young and cognizant. So Aspire, we started off actually teaching young people who were trying to exit gangs.
Yeah.
So this is where I realized that, you know what, young people who are involved in some form of criminal activity are usually very clever.
Entrepreneurial.
Yeah, you have to be. I mean, in that sense, in order to be doing something wrong and get away with it, you have to know what is right and what is wrong and find the way around it. So you're double, triple thinking all the time. Yeah, so you're very quick. Yes, it's a stress.
Not that I know, but it's stress.
But it's stressful. So I thought, okay, so this is how these young people are. So if we're going to offer them something, we've got to offer them something that's meaningful. So at that time, the money that was given to work with such young people, you were supposed to give them, especially if they didn't have any qualifications, you were supposed to give them functional skills, how to get into a cab or order stuff in the restaurant, functional things that will make you functional. It's a bit like when you learn another language like French or German or something. You learn what you do when you go to a train station, what you do when you go to a restaurant. You know?
Yeah.
And I said, that's rubbish. I said, you can't be teaching these young people. If you're going to give them something, you've got to give them something that is meaningful, that if they get it, it can help them to get a livelihood. I said, we've got to teach them GCSEs. Everyone told me there's no money for that. I said, well, I don't care. I said, I don't care. This is what they need. This is not what money's. I said, we're going to teach them GCSEs. That's it. Finish. And so that's how we started Aspire Prep. We actually broke down the exams and taught these young men. They were mainly young men. There was one young woman who was a gang leader. I think it was one of the most intelligent I come across. But that's how I started Aspire Prep Bootcamp later on. So it was from the experience of teaching these young people and engaging them and giving them some kind of hope. So we did. We were in the trenches. We went where the young people were and tried to give them relevant education. For me, Aspire was about giving young people at least a second chance because they deserved it.
Yeah.
So that's how it started.
And how did it become the global company that it is today?
We have moved on to being workforce development, research training. We're based here in the UK. We have a subsidiary in Germany and we have business links in East Africa. I think that's to do with the global mindset of myself and Viv.
Okay.
You know, really, Viv has always had a global African perspective and I've been, you know, in that sense also. So it was really trying to make an impact on a wider scale. So we did consultancies, we did projects with boroughs, with children who are special education needs, children who had been excluded from school, many looked after children who have some of the worst outcomes. I'm telling you, if the state as a parent doesn't, you know, in terms of the outcomes and the money that's going in, it's very poor return. Considering that you're taking young people away from parents, sometimes I think if you just gave the money to the parents and gave them support, things might be better.
Yeah.
But so all of that. But Aspire Prep Bootcamp was sort of the start in terms of there's always been an awarding gap of Black students, from children from school right through to university. It's been persistent over decades. So what we basically were doing was saying, well, look, because I went to a private school as a student, as well as a teacher and as a head teacher, I knew what was different. And so I wanted to bring some of that to ordinary young people, particularly from the Black community, who could benefit from that. So so it's like a private school in your pocket, basically, and brought that approach in terms of exam rigor, but at the same time, all the stuff that I'd learned from living in Europe, living in Germany, living in Africa, living here, how you really engage our young people. So it makes sense. And that's been very successful. And so then that led on to us investing in and starting up in Germany, because we'd won several European projects. So we've been doing work with about 16 organizations, about 16, 18 different countries. We've developed curriculum, we've developed training around projects for us that made sense and were aligned with the things that we were doing. So like gender equality, I'm very hot on women's leadership. So we did projects around that. We've done projects around trauma for children. We've done projects that promote family learning, intergenerational learning, that promotes language development and business development. So we've done a series of projects through Europe with our European partners. And when Britain decided in their wisdom to come out of Europe, we realized we want to maintain business there. And because I have lived in Germany and can speak German, we made the step to launch in Germany, and it was tough.
I can imagine.
But we're there. We're there. And we now have projects with Uganda.
Yes, you're doing massive projects with East Africa, projects that you're connecting the West with Africa. And,
but you see, it's full circle. So you see how I started?
Yeah.
It's all linked. For me, it's not separate. It's just a different iteration of what we're trying to do. And for Future Ed, this was the brainchild of Viv, because he has an American experience. And in America, they celebrate far more. Here in Britain, we complain. We complain and we keep things small. So with the Future Ed, this is about celebrating the change we want to see. So about Black excellence and about equity.
In education.
Yeah, in education. And we realize we need to have our allies. Yeah. We've got over 500,000 children of African and Caribbean descent in school out of the 9 million children in the UK. We do not have enough Black head teachers. We do not have enough counselling to help with the whole mental health challenges that all children have faced following COVID. So there's lots of things which are helping to break down trust with the state education, whether it's university students. Everything has changed. Everything has shifted. Yeah. So we want to find a way of building back that trust and making things different and better. And you do that by backing people who are doing good things, people who are trying to make things better, bringing them up, celebrating them, and also creating an ecosystem for policy and culture change, which is what Future Ed is about.
Amazing. Yes.
And we do it with a team. It's not just me. It's a team. There's a whole team of us, including you.
And I'm happy to be part of that team. I'm very happy to be part of that team because, celebrating Black excellence in education is a big deal. And I haven't seen it being done before. Not just the teachers, but the assistant teachers and the schools and
the publishers and the community organizations, all the people.
It's a good way to encourage the educational industry to do more that will benefit our communities.